The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said. The chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in your hands to break. The greatest adventure is there if you're bold. Let go of the moment that life makes you hold. To measure the meaning can make you delay. It's time you stop thinking and wasting the day. The man who's a dreamer and never takes leave, who thinks of a world that is just make-believe, will never know passion, will never know pain, who sits by the window will one day see rain. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said. The chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in your hands to break. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica, land of technical difficulties this morning. If we do go away for a little bit, stay with us because we will be back on, I promise. I'm Jeff Chard. Hi. If you're joining us for the first time, we do this most every week, usually on Sunday mornings. You'll find a link in the chat to let us know more about you. I hope you'll find us eager to connect before, during, and after any service. This is a church where all are welcome, all faiths and traditions, all gender identities, doubts, convictions, sorrows, joys. Every part of your whole self is welcome here. Our congregation acknowledges that UU Utica is situated on the ancestral lands of the Oneida Nation, a founding nation of the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois Confederacy. Haudenosaunee means people who build a house. On this land, in this church, we are people who build a faith community. Two announcements today. The first from Paul Tenarowitz. Paul?
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to mention that I'm on the stewardship committee with Jack Pendrick and Dan Olvadotti. I think Dan is taking the lead on that this year, and Barb Freeman. And we've been meeting a couple times. Just want to make people aware that we are getting ready to kick off stewardship on March 6th. And we just want to thank everybody for that we will be thankful for your support in keeping this faith community together. So you'll be hearing more from us soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Also, want to let you know that adoption of our proposed church covenant will be voted on by our members after church on February 12. Also, there will be a breakout room after next Sunday's service in case you missed the prior discussions or if you have further thoughts or questions. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love. This morning's worship leader is Stephanie Markham.
Our call to worship this morning is an excerpt from the book Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is not an asylum, and you are not mad. And so what if you were? This world is unforgiving and cruel to those it judges as even the slightest bit outside the norm. If anyone should be kind, understanding, accepting, loving to their fellow outcasts. It's you, all of you. You are the guardians of the secrets of the universe, beloved of worlds that most will never dream of, much less see. Can't you see where you owe it to yourselves to be kind, to care for one another?
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Good morning. This morning's chalice lighting is from A Fire in the Universe by Sean Tripp. Our chalice reminds us that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of the void is vast, and our experience here is but a blip in the cosmic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness and our short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply, with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we've ever known.
For our together time this morning, I'd like us to name and think on some of our favorite childhood stories. We're going to sort them into mirrors and windows. Was your favorite childhood book a reflection of the truth in yourself? Or was it a way to look beyond the familiar, to see new worlds opening? If you feel so moved, you can speak the name of your favorite or type it in the chat. Whenever I think about my childhood favorites, I always go straight to the monster at the end of this book. Is anyone else familiar with that? It's a Sesame Street, and I can hear my mom reading it. I can hear the voices that she does. And I just related so much to Grover as he gets more and more anxious throughout the story. No, don't turn the page, don't turn the page. And then at the end, spoiler alert, it's fine. And I wasn't worried. You were the one that was worried. What are some of your favorites? Oh, Dan, that was Dan Olivedotti's favorite book when he was a kid. Excellent taste, Dan. To Kill a Mockingbird? That's not quite a children's story, but that absolutely could be the first story that really touched your soul. Was that a mirror or a window for you? A window. Sometimes we take the same book and we experience it in different ways. Sometimes we can have one book that is both a mirror and a window to different people. Oh, Charlotte's Web has been mentioned twice by Jackie Lasos and Cindy Domack. Charlotte's Web, what a book. What a book. Was that a mirror for you? Was that a window? I think Charlotte's Web for me, when I read it, I could relate so much to Fern. I could relate to wanting to save all of the animals. Oh, and Jen Chard says The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by John Sheska. Have you ever read that one? Oh, it looks at the wolf's point of view and all he wanted was a cup of sugar. Excellent. Jen over empathizes a lot. Jules Heller says The Sign of the Seahorse by Graham Greene, and that was a window. And Doreen says Thornton Burgess books, Old Mother West Wind. Stuart Card, there are too many for a single favorite, but an early childhood favorite is Where the Wild Things Are. My son loves that book. He loves to be a wild thing. George and Martha. What an excellent story. Is that a mirror or a window for you? It's a goal. A goal. Ah, beautiful. Robert the Rose Horse. I am not familiar with that one. I'll have to look it up. Is it a mirror or a window?
It was about a horse and my mom paid me 5 cents to read it over to develop cycle vocabulary.
It was about a horse and you got paid 5 cents to read it over and over. That's phenomenal. Oh, Stregonona. Jen Ostrander says Stregonona. What a beautiful story. Wow. Yes, there's a monster at the end of this book is just such a phenomenal story. Absolutely, because Grover locked those pages down, didn't he? Okay, so think about your favorites. Do you have one or you just, okay. Think about your favorites. Think about whether they were mirrors or windows. Were they both? When we're young, stories are how we make sense of the world. From oral traditions to moral tales to picture books, we find that our experiences of early life are as universal as they are unique. Our reading is the prologue from Druids by Morgan Lywell. This is the first book that touched my soul as a teenager. And every time someone says, "What's your favorite book?" I say, well, I can tell you what the book that I've reread the most is, and it's this one. And this is the prologue. This is my favorite prologue of all time. I'm happy to share it with you. He had been dead a long time. With a profound sense of shock, he realized he was no longer dead. Beyond an increasingly vivid sense of self, he was still aware of the tender network from which he was being separated. From its fabric, those who were dear to him reached out, calling to him, seeking one more communion. "Do not abandon me," he cried to them. "Follow me, find me." Tightening around him, existence throbbed with the pulsing of a giant heart. He was expelled into lightlessness. He was tumbled into the unknown. Down and down he spun. Gradually, he began recalling long forgotten concepts such as direction and distance and time. Concentrating on them, he found himself spiraling amid stars. Constellations bloomed around him like the flowery meadows. He reached out, hungry for the suddenly remembered sensation of touch, and slipped and slid and came to rest in a warm chamber lit by a dim red glow. There he lay dreaming. Sheltered and content, he was suspended between worlds, floating on tides regulated by the rhythms of a universe. In this building time, he sorted among his memories, deciding which to keep. So few could be retained, and it was hard to anticipate which he might most need. Yet a voiceless command urged him to remember, remember. He drifted and dreamed until the pounding began. Shocked, he tried to fight back, but he was seized and squeezed and ultimately ejected into a place of hard surfaces. A burning flood poured into his nostrils and open mouth. The infant used that first breath to scream his outrage. It is a truth, universally acknowledged, that a Unitarian Universalist in possession of a progressive faith must be in want of a reading list. For your convenience, I've assembled a list of all the books I'm referencing this morning, starting with the title of this service, all the way through the benediction. A link to the list will be posted in the Zoom chat and in this week's newsletter. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Stephanie Markham, and I'm a member of this congregation. I am currently the Teen Services Librarian at Jervis Public Library in Rome, and I've been working in libraries for over 10 years. I read a lot. As a UU, I have so many opinions. As a librarian, so many of those opinions are about books. When you think about library icons, you might think of Melville Dewey and his decimal system. A lesser known, but in my opinion, far more valuable figure in library science is S.A. Ranganathan. His 5 laws of library science shape many of my views as a librarian, and I want to recognize them here. The first of the 5 laws is books are for use. Every reader, their book. Every book, its reader. Save the time of the reader. A library is a growing organism. Before we get too far, I want to quickly define reading for you. Reading is visually processing text on the page of a physical book, yes. But reading is also listening to audiobooks. Reading is flipping through comics and tracking Braille text and increasing the font size and contrast of your e-reader until you can see without straining. Whatever your preferred formats, reading helps us make sense of the world. For the purposes of this morning, I'm focusing on fiction books. So we know from Together Time that books can be loosely categorized into windows, stories that help us to see the world around us, and mirrors, stories that help us to see the truth within ourselves. Mirrors can be difficult to read sometimes. Have you ever seen yourself so plainly in a work of fiction that you wonder if somehow the author glanced inside your very soul? Perhaps the circumstances of the characters are eerily familiar. More likely, A character acts exactly as you would see yourself acting given the same situation, or goes on a journey of self-discovery so familiar that you remember that exact feeling. To see yourself reflected in fiction is to be vulnerable, to be aware of your flaws as well as your triumphs. Even in the most fantastical novels, we can sometimes find a truth so universally human that we feel it in our bones. As Laini Taylor writes in Strange the Dreamer, as for fairy tales, he understood that they were reflections of the people who had spun them and were flecked with little truths, intrusions of reality into fantasy, like toast crumbs on a wizard's beard. Find the truth in the story and let it help you unearth the truth within yourself. Know what your story is and understand how your story shapes how you interact with the world. I love reading stories that are windows. Seeing the world from different perspectives of contemporary fiction, or embarking on an epic fantasy journey, or considering how the world arrives in a dystopian, not too distant future, all expand the mind's horizons. Maybe you've seen a study or five concluding that reading fiction increases our empathy. It's true. I can't even begin to guess the number of times a book has made me consider new perspectives, new solutions, new context for topics in which I thought myself well-versed. In American Gods, Neil Gaiman writes, fiction allows us to slide into these other heads, these other places, and look out through other eyes. And then in the tale, we stop before we die, or we die vicariously and unharmed. And in the world beyond the tale, we turn the page or close the book and resume our lives. Now, reading more doesn't automatically make you a better person. Your worth can't be quantified with the number of books you finished last year or in your lifetime. It's in returning to our lives from fiction that we have the opportunity to become better. Don't just think about having sympathy for fictional characters. See what difference you can make in the actual world. Read about a bleak dystopian future and then find out how you can actively help prevent it from happening. Finish your epic fantasy adventure. Reflect on the bravery shown in the face of unyielding magic, and resolve to face your own struggles with the same bravery. Gather the empathy from the contemporary novel of a person facing oppression and look for opportunities in your community to help those struggling. Reading, learning, finishing books does not inherently make us better humans. It is only when we take this empathy we've gathered and turn it into actions that we can become better people. The stories of our lives are being written day by day, page by page. Whether your story is a window or a mirror, let it build empathy. Let it inspire action. Blessed be. Thank you. Our next hymn is number 326, Let All the Beauty We Have Known. Our meditation this morning is what else but the Litany Against Fear from Dune by Frank Herbert. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. That's me too, isn't it? Okay, and our offering this morning is that form of love we call generosity by Paul R. Beadle. Once upon a time, most folks used the offering plate to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Nowadays, lots of folks click on their church websites or set up automatic transfers from their checking accounts. Some still write a monthly check, paying their church bill along with the others. But passing the offering plate was never just a practical exercise. It has always been a ritual. Even if your pledge is paid up, it is worthwhile for you to bring even just $1 to drop in the plate as a ritual reminder of that form of love we call generosity. Let it be a reminder that after meeting our obligations to ourselves and our households and the communities to which we belong and are committed, we must still keep our capacity to give. The practice of giving until it is second nature and first response helps bring forth the realm of love. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. The offering has been given and gratefully received. Thank you. play the music anyway. Now we will extinguish our chalice, and please join in with the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Our benediction is an excerpt from the book Homegoing by Ya Jesse. We believe the one who has power. He is the one who gets to write the story. So when you study history, you must ask yourself, whose story am I missing? Whose voice was suppressed so that this voice could come forth? Once you have figured that out, you must find that story too. From there, you get a clearer yet still imperfect picture.
When you can't find the light to guide you on a cloudy day, when the stars ain't shining bright, feels like you lost your way, when the candlelights of home burn so very far away, well, you gotta let your soul shine. Like my daddy used to say, he said, "So shine, oh, it's better than sunshine, it's better than moonshine, it's damn sure better than rain." Well, now people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. You got to let your soul shine. Shine until the break of day. Well, I grew up thinking I had it made, gonna make it on my own. I can take the strongest man, make him feel so alone. Now sometimes I feel a cold wind blowing through my bones. I think back to what my daddy said. He said, in this darkness take control. Talking about soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. Well, now people don't mind. We all feel this way sometimes. You got to let your soul shine. Shine until the break of day. Talking about soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. Damn sure better than rain. Well, now people don't mind. We all feel this way sometimes. You got to let your soul shine. Shine, shine into the break of day.